welcome to episode, what is it, 4?
I think 4
episode
now.
4 of Music Is None of Our Business. This week we are doing, we've discussed it, we don't want to describe it as guilty pleasures, although that would be the kind of accepted name for this type of list, wouldn't it, really?
It would.
It's more kind of, you know, given that we've kind of bared our musical souls online, so you get an idea of what kind of things we like. So this is kind of the stuff you wouldn't possibly think we'd be fans of. But it's very, very tricky to... I mean, I've gone through mine and I look at them and I think, well, a lot of them, yeah, you probably wouldn't expect me to be a fan of, but others are kind of a bit borderline. And there are certain there are certain acts in there that are kind of, I don't know, classic. Who you might think we'd like. I don't know, but we get on.
You're just rambling off again, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I'm just talking bollocks. I found it really difficult to kind of categorise, to be perfectly honest. It's a really weird. I'm glad we've done it. But I did kind of have issues, I've got to admit.
Yeah. It's that whole kind of terminology. I mean, you call it guilty pleasures, and as you say, there might be things that people don't necessarily expect us to be listening to, but I don't feel guilty for it. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed about it.
That was what I was explaining to my friend Hannah, who I work with, who I chat with daily. I was saying I can't remember ever feeling guilty about listening to anything. You know, if something has merit musically, then I'm happy to listen. I'm happy to listen to music that doesn't have merit. I'll listen to any old bollocks. to be perfectly frank, I think it's easy to lapse into that musical snobbery, isn't it?
That's the key phrase.
Yeah.
Yes, musical snobbery. And I think what happens is when people become commercially successful, one of the things that I noticed making my list is that bands or artists that become commercially very successful and get embraced by the media and by the popular kind of masses instantly is no longer street cred. I totally agree. I try really hard not to say, oh, I hate this music now. I mean, I used to be like, oh, I fucking hate them, they're shit, but nowadays I think, well, I don't really think that's fair, because all music is relevant to the people who listen to it. All music is entertainment to the people who like it. And if you like something different than me, then fair enough. I listen to some stuff that people will probably go, Jesus, what the hell is that? And if people go, oh, I hate that, I say, well, that's not really fair, because it's got merit. Just because you don't like it, I don't like sprouts, but I'm quite happy for you to eat them. I'm glad. I like sprouts.
Do you? Well, you can have mine then. next time we have Christmas dinner together.
I know where they've been.
I'll let you have my sprouts. Yeah. Right, so do you want to jump off?
Oh, I can do. I always start.
Well, I'll start.
I'll start. You start.
I'll start. So number one, I've kind of picked artists, but most of them I've attached an album to it, just as.
Okay.
So my first one is Enya and Watermark.
Oh.
Now I fucking love Enya. I absolutely love Enya, and as with a lot of these things, I think some of it is nostalgia, because it does remind me of a time and place. And it was the late 80s, with my friends at our local pub. We had Enya on the we got a CD jukebox, which was really exciting. Enya was on it. I lived with shared a house with some Irish people, and they were all like, "Ha, we fucking loved that Enya," and it was and I just loved it. My friend Janet from Belfast, we just loved Enya. We were just absolutely besotted with her.
Where was this? You say you shared a house. Was this in Plymouth or in Cambridge?
This was in Cambridge. This was the north of Cambridge. Right. We all worked at a hotel,
and there were shared houses and shared flats, and we all used to drink in the same pub with all of the local kind of. I got to know kind of the local punk guys, and we became friends, and then they in turn got to know all the hotel staff through me, and we had a huge gang of people who just loved music and loved drinking. But Enya, I mean, I'm sure everybody knows who Enya is. She was, I mean, originally in Clannad with her family, and is the second best-selling music act from Ireland ever, only surpassed by
U2.
U2, yes, indeed. And this Watermark was her second album. I think the first one was a soundtrack to a BBC program called The Celts, which I think was later renamed just as Enya.
Right.
And
was Watermark the one that got Orinoco Flow?
Yeah,
on it?
which in all honesty is the song I like least on the LP. Yeah. It's just such an easy listen. It's an easy record to just float away to. It's just gorgeous. And as with a lot of these kind of records, you can put your headphones on, lay back, and remember that time you were standing at the head of a barge going across a misty lake towards a shrouded figure in white holding a sword, and then you're like, that never fucking happened. But if you listen to Watermark, it probably did in a past life, and it will come back as a memory. But it's a gorgeous, gorgeous LP, and I am totally unashamed of being a massive Enya fan. So,
right. I used to have a neighbour, just a few years ago. It's quite a few years ago now. And when I was recording in my studio out at the back of the house, which is sound treated, it's not utterly soundproof, but some sound bleeds through if I'm really loud. I'd be making what I thought was the most horrendous post-industrial noise, and I'd be speaking to him the next day. He said, "Are you making Enya records?" I said, "Fuck off!"
Oi, mate, you that fucking Enya?
you fucking Enya, mate.
Did you say, cage fighter? Oh yes, you've got me there, that was me.
Yeah, I'm sure I've got exactly the same physique as Enya, no doubt about it. But okay, Enya, good one.
Oh dear.
I started off with an easy one because I mentioned them already, but it's the Electric Light Orchestra.
Oh, yes.
As a kid, I was into it. I've already said that on a previous podcast. But as I got into punkdom and so on, many is the time me learned friends in the punk tribe mocked me for liking ELO, because it wasn't a secret. Yeah. Being in this tribe, people would take every opportunity to belittle anybody that didn't like Just Crass.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the bands and the artists in my list, possibly yours as well, there's no denying that they were fantastically huge. They're 50 million albums, and I think Out of the Blue was one of those albums like Dark Side of the Moon and Thriller and Bat Out of Hell that kind of stayed in the album charts in the UK for about 1 billion years.
Yeah.
And it was in the charts for 4 years or something. So it's hugely successful, hugely popular, but not really what people would expect. I mentioned it to a colleague of mine where I volunteer at the food bank the other day. I don't know how it came up, but he was struck speechless. He kind of thought that just because I like Rudimentary Peni, you can't like ELO. You can't have tastes that wide.
Yeah. Oh,
so I told him to fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for the best. Yeah. That's for the best.
That's for the best, yeah. But they just finished their final.
Their last gig
tour.
is on Sunday. Which is at Hyde Park, and today is we normally record these on a Thursday night, and tomorrow I am going down there to work at Neil Young.
It's tomorrow, is it?
Yes, that's tomorrow, and then Saturday I believe is Stevie Wonder. Sunday ELO.
Oh, you're going to be there, are you?
I'm not going to be there. No, I tried, but that just bang. That the Volunteer that just went.
Yeah.
Woof. I
can believe it. That. The last tour I wanted to go and see them, because I never did get to see them. The last tour I wanted to go and see them, and ended up the only place that had tickets was in Oslo, and I tried to get them, and I was seconds too late. So they are massive, but they're still one of the bands that probably they're a bit naff, aren't they? They're a pop band with used strings.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, they're very complex, and they get some great tunes, and they do it well.
Absolutely. No, I think I said in the first, when we discussed ELO last time, that they were the only band I ever remember my dad liking. My dad had...
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't think you did mention that last time. I didn't know that.
My dad had no interest in music whatsoever, bar the odd song that he'd sing that he'd heard on the radio when he was like 5 or something. But ELO, he really liked ELO, and I'm pretty sure him and my mum went to see them on the Out of the Blue tour when they had that great big spaceship that came down.
Yeah, I used to look at pictures of that when I was a youngster, thinking, what the fucking hell are they doing? That's just another world.
I'm sure they went to Birmingham and saw them. He said it was
lucky man.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. What were your parents' musical taste like? Just out of curiosity.
My dad was a trucker, and therefore I think he was required to listen to country music. Ooh, so a lot of Johnny Cash, which was great. Orange Blossom Special and Folsom Prison Blues and all of that. But there was a lot of trucking country music as well.
Shit.
Give me 40 acres and I'll turn this rig around, I can remember was one of the refrains. So that was pretty much him. But he used to be a Teddy Boy, so he was in the Teddy Boy gang.
Yeah, he looked. I remember him looking a bit like he was probably a Teddy Boy. Yeah.
Teddy Boy, and he was a biker as well, so he was all over the place.
Jeez.
So he was okay. It didn't really float my boat at the time. I've only come to appreciate Johnny Cash perhaps in later years, but didn't really float my boat at the time. My mum, well, she liked Gilbert and Sullivan. Gilbert and Sullivan. That
Gilbert
kind
and
of.
I thought you said Gilbert and Sullivan.
No, not Gilbert. I did for a start, but I correct myself. It was Gilbert and Sullivan. You know, the Pirates of Penzance, and oh my God, unspeakable.
Yeah, probably less said about that the better. Yeah, my mum's music taste was eclectic, but not brilliant. I don't think she was. I'll be honest. I don't think she was particularly interested in music.
No.
Either. It was just a thing that was around. It was on the radio. She'd buy the odd 7-inch single. I remember her LPs. Well, there is one coming up soon, to be honest. But most of her LPs were kind of. She had lots and lots. She had a ridiculous amount of Charlie Rich and Matt Monro, Perry Como records.
Right. Yeah, okay.
Which is like, I don't know. You associate that with your gran, don't you? I'm pretty sure being my mum prematurely aged her, so whether that's the reason she had the same musical taste as someone's gran, I don't know. Could well be. But she'd buy any old bollocks, to be honest. Christ almighty. Yeah.
What's your number 2 then, Dave?
My number 2 is Cyndi Lauper.
Oh,
specifically,
right, okay.
She's So Unusual LP, because I love Cyndi Lauper. I remember when Girls Just Want to Have Fun came out, and it's an absolute banger. It's such a brilliant song, and that whole album. Weirdly, I was knocking around in one of the local charity shops about a year ago, and I found a pretty much mint condition imported version of it from American version of it, and bought it. And I played the tits off it for a couple. It's fabulous. So I mean, that was released in '83. That was her first solo album. There's a really good documentary on I think it's on Prime about her. That's well worth a watch. But she's fantastic, and she's got such a voice as well. Does a lot of good work for various charities as well. And that album, I think the second single was Time After Time.
Oh yeah,
and that's a gorgeous song, and I still love that, even though my sister Rachel bought a copy of that and would play it non-fucking stop. And I mean, she had one of those record players with repeat, and it would be lying in my, and just play it once and then click,
and it'd go back, and then boink, lying in my. Like, Rachel,
we've really got to talk about you. You keep bursting into songs.
I know. I go on holiday next week. I'm practicing for the karaoke. And she just moped. I think it was because she was away from her boyfriend, and it's like, boink. Oh, fucking hell. But even after that, I still love that record. It is just superb. I think it had five top 5 singles on it. I can't remember whether that was in the US but it was massive. It was massive. It was all over the place. She Bop was another great one, and that's about having a wank. Which is,
I don't know that one.
Yes, probably for the best. And best for you.
Is she still alive? What happened to her? I mean, she had this moment in the sun.
Well, she just did a farewell. I think it's a farewell tour. She just played 3 or 4 nights at the O2, and sold it out. And I seriously thought about going, but it was really expensive, and I couldn't really afford it because I had a couple of other gigs on that I wanted to go to, and it was you're talking like 60-70 quid a ticket, I think, which was a bit beyond my meagre budget. But Cyndi Lauper, fabulous, and as I said, thoroughly recommend watching the documentary about her. It's a really, really good watch, and she does seem like a really nice person as well.
Okay, cool. All right, no particular order again then. So my number 2 is another massive multi-million selling band, but quite unlike ELO. I'm not sure whether this would be a band people expect me to like or not. I mean, I guess most of the listeners listening to this don't really know me anyway, other than a couple of playlists, but it's Rammstein. Rammstein, you know them, a German band, and on the surface they are not particularly complicated. Their music is quite formulaic and unsophisticated. Their stage makeup and imagery is derivative and a little childish. And their stage shows are essentially kind of standard metal pyrotechnic theatre. And lyrically, they haven't got anything to say, and they can be quite simplistic and very macho-oriented. So why are they on the list? Well, because they're terribly good at what they do, and what they do is stir the blood in this bombastic, rousing, tight as fuck, really well produced metal, which isn't a genre I have any particular fondness for. Rachel and myself, we were driving back from the Peak District today, and Craig Charles on Radio 6 was playing some metal tracks, and they're fucking shit. I don't like metal music. but Rammstein, I think it's music that, like I said, is very rousing. It's hard to hear it and not have your foot stamping and your fists in the air and wanting to kind of invade somewhere. which for a German band is a bit worrying, really. But it's very militaristic. It's very right-wing.
That's what I always thought with them. See, I kind of... I mean, now you explain it, I get it. But I when you first said Rammstein, I kind of thought, I would have thought you'd have liked them. But the more you explain it, then I see what you mean. It's not particularly your thing, is it? But I think it's easy to associate them with the darkest, with industrial music, which I would associate with you.
I don't think of it as industrial music any more than I thought 9 Inch Nails or Skinny Puppy were industrial music. I think Rammstein do have some. You could compare them to bands like Front 242 and 9 Inch Nails and so on, which that industrial moniker got taken up from Throbbing Gristle and SPK and Eistersend and Neubauten and so on, and put into that other category, and I don't think it ever fitted. I don't know why that happened, but it never worked for me that way.
See, I always thought of Godflesh as industrial.
But they're probably more industrial than Rammstein, because Rammstein are, underneath all of the bluster and bombast and pyrotechnics, it's a very kind of single formula metal music, whereas Godflesh were different. Drum machine for a start, the screaming feedback on stuff, different song structures, guttural voices. Godflesh, I think, could carry closer to being called industrial than Rammstein ever could.
Yeah. I suppose, if I'm honest, I've never really listened to much Rammstein. If I have, it's because they've been on the TV and I've just caught them on a program or something, So I don't really. So it makes sense now.
It's not. I mean, I've only got a couple of records. They're not a band that I've gone out and hoovered up lots. And I've seen some of the videos that they've done, which the whole crowd they look like they're, like I say, ready to invade somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very macho. At one point, about 2 or 3 years ago, I think every member of the band but one were being investigated for sex crimes. And I think all the investigations were eventually dropped. But when you see and hear the uber macho characters, you can understand. You can understand what's going on there.
Yeah. I suppose it's like they're kind of playing at being hard or something,
Yeah. So there you go. Not one that I would think people think I like necessarily, but and there are one or two bits that I like.
Fair enough. Well,
so what do you got next?
So next I have got. See, now this is definitely one my mum used to listen to. It's Gallagher and Lyle. And it's
don't they make cigarettes?
And it's, possibly on the days off from touring and making music, they probably had a little roll-up machine out the back, filtered or non-filtered. They were a Scottish duo, Benny Gallagher and Graham Lyle, and this album, the album Breakaway, came out, and I don't really remember whether it was a hit or not, but I know Art Garfunkel recorded a cover of the title track Breakaway, and I think that was massive, which possibly kind of helped them into the charts. And I remember my mum buying it, and it was one of those things where at the time I didn't really pay much attention to it, but it just sunk in because back in those days all you heard was either what your mum and dad had, what was on the radio, what was on Top of the Pops, or what your mates had, and that was it. And there was there wasn't a great. There was massive exposure to music, but not a great amount of music. So things stayed with you.
Yeah, you got Radio Luxembourg.
Yeah, which weirdly I will come to on another one of my picks later on.
Oh, right, okay.
But so this was one of those. It's kind of a soft rock album. It got some. There was a couple of. I think they had a hit with a song called "Heart on My Sleeve" and "I Want to Stay with You." And it's one of the. And so and I remember a couple of years ago, I was at my mum's, and she said, "Oh, we were up in the loft and there's a load of old records up there. Do you want any of them?" And I kind of went, "I don't think so, Mother. I've seen your bloody records." But I went and had a look anyway, just in case she'd stashed some rare Beatles stuff up there. And I found a copy of Breakaway, so I took it home. I thought, I'll listen to it. It's fucking great. It's such a good. But again, a lot of that is the memory thing,
Yeah.
I can. It just reminds me of being at home in the mid 70s. I think this was 1975 it was released, and it just reminds me of that, sitting in the front room or doing whatever I was doing. My mum puts a record on, plays it's Gallagher and Lyle, listen to it, and it just sunk in. And it was always there. And then when I saw it, I brought it home, played it, and it just all came flooding back. And it's a really good record. There's some really lovely tunes on there. I like a bit of soft rock. I like a bit of yacht rock. Bloody hell, yacht rock's great. I kind of now that they've given it a genre. I don't know whether it was. Yeah. I think it was AO. Was it AOR? AOR. Yeah. Adult orientated rock.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But yeah, yacht rock. So I've got some yacht rock compilations that I listen to with no guilt whatsoever. And
you should be ashamed.
I know I probably should be, but
but they're great. You know, it's really well constructed, really well produced music, and it does evoke that kind of, you know, that era.
Help me out then, because yacht rock, I mean, clearly that is a phrase I've come across before, but without really spending any time to think about it. Is that your Michael Bolton, or is that your Duran Duran?
No, it's before that. It's kind of your mid-70s. You put me on a bloody... It's on the spot here. I can't think of anyone off the top. You know what my bloody memory's like? It's fucking appalling. Hall & Oates. Early Hall & Oates. It's that kind of thing. It's just smooth rock. You know,
right.
Harmonies, very California, you know, based kind of. Well, you can listen to it on a fucking yacht. That's why it's called fucking yacht rock. You know, it's
for the chance.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was what America listened to in the early 70s, because I mean, America was just dominated by soft rock, wasn't it? You know, that's all there was really. And it's, you know, it's great fun, you know, just a bit of nostalgia. It makes you feel kind of, I should be sitting out on my bloody, you know, in the garden on a chair with a pina colada and, you know, a straw hat on, with my feet up in a Hawaiian shirt, listening to Hall & Oates. That's
dreaming of having a yacht.
That's yacht rock.
Okay. Okie dokie. Cool.
So, yes.
This is going to be a hell of a weird playlist, isn't
it? It's going to be bonkers, isn't it? It's going to be bonkers. Jeez.
Okay, my number 3 then is Ludovico Einaudi.
I've heard of him.
You would have heard of him. He's sold about 1.5 million records, which doesn't sound an awful lot in the context of some of the bands we're talking about, but for the classical world and for modern classical is quite a big chunk. But Ludovico Einaudi is an Italian composer, pianist, musician, and I really like him. I've got quite a lot of his albums. I've been to see him live, and I think what he does is a delight to the ears. It's not challenging, it's true, but it is just lovely music. I think why people might think it's not the kind of stuff I'd listen to, even people who know I like classical music, is because Ludovico Einaudi is kind of in that netherworld where classical music purists sneer that because he's selling lots of records and because he's on Classic FM and because he's quite a well-known name, he's not proper classical music. He's not real classical music.
Even I'm sneering.
He's pop music.
Even I'm sneering here. I've got a massive sneer. So, I'm not fucking Ludovico Einaudi, where his fucking nose, wanker.
Ludovico Einaudi. But then, you know, then everybody else who's listening to mainstream stuff will say, well, that's bloody classical music. It's music for nerds. People don't really listen to that. So he's caught in the middle, really, which doesn't seem to bother him a great deal. He seems to be doing extremely well, and you know, as I said, I went to see him some years ago. You can't go and see him now because it's one of those where the tickets go in the blink of an eye, but it is great.
Is he to classical music like Jack, who was that painter, the artist who died?
Jack Painter.
No, he used to paint the pictures, and everyone used to go, that's not proper fucking art. But he sold like millions and millions of prints.
Jackson Pollock?
No, not Jackson Pollock. No, I can't remember his name. I don't know why I started this conversation. I should have kind of googled it first of all.
Jack the Painter. I don't know.
Everyone will be screaming, going. Everyone will know his name, going. It's this.
I don't know. You'll have to let me know what that is, because I don't really know what that is. But it's pop classical, I suppose. But it's lovely music. It's great melodies. It's beautifully put together.
Jack Vettriano. Sorry, I did Google.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, well, he painted all that. He painted all these pictures, and everyone and all the art world went, well, they're shit. You know, no one likes them, and they sold billions and billions of prints, and he was like a multimillionaire when he died.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they may be like that then. If all the purists and the art critics and the self-appointed arbiters of good taste were saying, "Oh no, that's not right. That doesn't fit the canon," then probably he is a bit like Ludovico Einaudi, because he's not seen. I don't think. I mean, whenever I've been in a conversation with people who know classical music, the moment you say, "Oh, Einaudi is good," you get, "Oh, okay, really, yeah." Which is their problem, not mine.
Yeah, fair play. Yes. Okay, so what are we up to? Number 4?
You're number 4, yeah.
So my number 4 is Saturday Night Fever, the soundtrack.
All right.
I love it. I love bloody disco music. I think it's fucking fantastic. And I'm not afraid to admit it. I think disco music is. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some duff tracks, but this album, I was looking at it yesterday because I thought I knew what to put on here, and it sold 40 million copies.
Yeah.
40 million copies in 1977. I remember going to the cinema. My mum and dad took me to see. It was an X film, wasn't it? Saturday Night Fever was an X. So yeah, it was no over 18s, and my mum and dad took me and managed to get me in. And I mean, the film was like nothing like I expected. I mean, it was like so much swearing. I mean, it was an accurate portrayal of what New York was like at that time, and the disco boom. And John Travolta was just superb in it. It's a fabulous film. But that soundtrack, I mean, right. So as I say, I was looking at it yesterday. Side 1, right? Side 1 is I think lasts 18 minutes, and it has 5 of the most fantastic tracks ever bloody recorded. I mean, you got Staying Alive, followed by How Deep Is Your Love, Night Fever, More Than a Woman, which is, and then If I Can't Have You by Yvonne Elliman, and it's like one of the most greatest songs ever made about longing, you know, and that's the first side, you know. I mean, admittedly it tails off a tiny bit after that, but that is just a hell of a side of. I mean, well, obviously we talk about records. Any youngsters listening, they're these great big black plastic things we used to play, and we used to buy them from Keith's Records. In fact, I probably snuck my copy from Keith's Records. In fact, I might have bought it. No, my mum must have had it. Actually, I think I took it from my mum's when she. I better not say that because I'm pretty sure I told her I wouldn't. I told her I'd leave it, and I snuck Saturday Night Fever out with Gallagher and fucking Lyle. But it's just. I mean, and it's timeless. I mean, I could stick that on now, and you know, and just. I mean, I'm not going to boogie around the room, but just sit and listen to that. And How Deep Is Your Love is my greatest misheard lyric of all time.
What's that?
Well, I used to sing it really badly, and
of course
my ex-wife Karen picked me up on it, and she said, and I was like, and you come to me on a submarine, and she said, what did you say? And I said, what do you mean? She said, what did you just say? I said, I was singing How Deep Is Your Love. Did you say fucking submarine? And I went, yeah, you come to me on a submarine. And she said, it's Summer Breeze, you fucking idiot. And I was like, what? That makes no sense. As if Submarine did. Oh, yes, up Periscope. Yeah. There he is, right. Oh, I'm here. Like, the Royal Navy just dropped me off. Submarine.
Wow.
Jeebus. Yeah, so, yeah, Submarine. Oh dear. She never let me. She never did let me. She probably still bring that up at some point. But yeah, Submarine. Yes. Excellent. So disco. I've got a collection of. There was a series of CDs called Disco Discharge, which kind of collected. Have you heard of them?
I've got some of them.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Collected up all these obscure disco records and. And compiled them in this series of CDs. Well, if you like disco, well worth checking out. Great series of CDs and so many awesome tracks I'd never heard before on there. So that's Disco Done.
Not quite.
Oh, God.
Not quite, because this is a surprising thing. Because my next one, I thought I'll go out on a limb here. It's not a band; it's a genre, and it's disco.
Oh well. There you go.
How about that? So yeah, like you, I think disco has a huge kind of reputation for being naff, fey, girls' music, whatever, Ponzi music. Real men don't listen to it, and certainly not punks and so on. But I've always liked disco music, and I got a stack of albums. Got some of those Disco Discharge ones. And there's not a single band that I'd say stands out, but the whole feel of it, the positivity, the production, the joy. There's no politics much in there. It's all fun and get down and boogie and all of that lot. And again, like you mentioned on some of the ones of yours earlier, I think for me, I sometimes wonder how much of that is nostalgia, because back at the end of the 70s, early 80s, when it was huge, it was massive, it would be playing in all the fairs and you go out in the pubs and it was always playing, and it does take you back to those times.
Oh, totally, yeah.
I'd go along with you. That's a surprise in all the years we've known each other.
We're secret disco fans. Who knew?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
But it's definitely a genre that gets derided unfairly.
Absolutely. I went to see Sleaford Mods last year at Scala, and it was one of those War Child gigs. And they didn't have a support band as such, but they had Hi-Fi Sean playing. Do you know Hi-Fi Sean? He used to be he was originally in Soup Dragons. I can't remember his surname, Sean something, but he reinvented himself as Hi-Fi Sean. Made some records with David McCollum. McCollum and Butler, David McCollum, made some records with him, and he played a set, and it was a lot of disco, a lot of kind of Patrick. Was he Cowley or Crowley? I can't remember his name. He did a lot of disco. He was a gay LA musician. Did loads and loads of discos. Anyway, he played a lot of his, incorporated a lot of his music into the set, and a lot of kind of, modern disco, but it's fundamentally disco. And my God, it was loud. The Scala has a fabulous sound system in there. It was so loud, I'm pretty sure I left my liver there. I think the bass just knocked it out of my arse, and it stood on the floor in the Scala.
God.
It was so bloody loud, it just pounded. But it was fabulous. And I did message him after and asked him if he had the set list. And he goes, no. He was like, no, I just made it. I went along. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. But yeah, so it is still, it's still out there, as you say, and still loved, still a well loved genre as well. So yeah, disco. I'm all for disco.
Disco. There, we've got more discussions to have about disco offline. Then perhaps
you mean some discussions.
Oh God, I wish I'd missed that.
Yeah. Right, edit out that groan, stick in some tumbleweed, and we'll carry on. Okay, so I'm number 5. My number 5 band, A Flock of Seagulls.
Oh God.
Yeah. Well, see, even you. Oh God, Flock of Seagulls, and I think they're just unfairly dismissed. I really do, because all the problem is with Flock of Seagulls, all anyone remembers is the bloody haircut.
And them getting voted, I think, in some terrible, horrible magazine, the ugliest band at the time.
But this is it. I mean, they were a great band. They were Flock of Seagulls. If anybody doesn't know, were kind of I suppose they were a new wave band, and they came from Liverpool. And were formed in 1979. And
would you call them a new wave band?
I think I would put them as new wave originally. I think they got sucked into that new romantic synth pop genre. But I think originally,
I'd be inclined to
originally I'd have said they were kind of new wave, because you listen to them, they're very guitar-y. The first LP is banger after banger, to be honest. Really catchy.
The eponymous album.
Yes, the eponymous album. That's the one I'm concentrating on. And it was guitar dominated. There were synths, don't get me wrong, but it was guitar hooks. You had Iran, So Far Away, which was in
La La Land, I think, not long ago. And I think may well have been in one of the Spider-Man films as well, one of the recent Tom Holland Spider-Man films. And Space Age Love Song. You had Modern Love is Automatic. All guitar-y based new wave pop songs, I think. And I just think they got a really bad deal. And I think if you went back to that first album, you specifically could, because you kind of groaned when I said Flock of Seagulls. If you had listened to that first album, I think you'd be really surprised at how good it is.
You know, I think you misunderstood my sound, perhaps, because I do have that first album and I do enjoy it. I think Messages is a fantastic song. Space Age Love Song is a great record. So
absolutely,
that groan probably wasn't meant to come across as a groan. It was more of a surprise and another duplicate almost.
Yeah, but surprise,
because I do really like them.
Surprise is more But you went. So we're gonna have to work on that. We'll practice. Practice. If you're coming down physically here on Saturday. So when we're in Spoons having our cheap chips and a non-alcoholic beer, I will teach you the difference between
excellent.
And a little bit of trivia. I found out while I was doing my research last night.
Go on.
Do you know why they're called Flock of Seagulls?
No.
So, Mike Score and some of the other band members were at a Stranglers concert. And the Stranglers always used to finish with a song called Toiler on the Sea. This would have been around the black and white era, 78, when I first saw them. And one of the lines was a flock of seagulls. And as Hugh Cornwall yelled out, "A flock of seagulls," he looked straight at them. And they went,
"Oh,
that's our band name. That is our band name." So,
gosh.
Yeah. So, I mean, luckily he hadn't had a scratch and went, "Oh, I've got an itchy arse," because I think a flock of itchy arseholes wouldn't have really made the top 20. So.
I think the name alone would have put them into a new wave or punk category, irrespective of the music. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, how about that? No problem with Flock of Seagulls.
Good.
But having said that, we've both got the first album. We both like the first album. Have you heard or got or been interested in anything else from Flock of Seagulls?
The second album is okay, but it gets progressively more synthy and progressively not quite as good as the first LP. I think that's a difficulty, really. I mean, if you have a band where I found this with Block Party, and I was talking to my friend Hannah about this the other day. Block Party released that first. Do you know Block Party? Are you a Block Party fan?
I know Block Party. Yeah. Yes, I know them. No, I'm not a fan.
So the first LP is Silent Alarm. Is absolutely amazing. It's just so good, but it's so good that everything else they've ever done is just paled in comparison. This is my personal opinion, although she does agree with me. But everything else they did is. Well, she might have just been being polite. I don't know. She normally does. She says, "Oh yeah, Dave, yeah, right, fuck you know."
Yeah, just humour him.
So, but everything they did post that just paled in comparison a little bit. As good as it was, it just never reached those heights. And I think that's the problem with that first Flock of Seagulls. And there's probably lots of other bands that are the same.
I think for me, I like the first album, and I do play it, and there are some great tracks on there, but I don't think I'd say I was so enamoured with them or so loved them that I was looking forward to getting the next album. And I think the fact that a second album came out was a bit kind of like, meh, okay, I've got other things to buy now.
Yeah. I think the standout track from the second album, I think, is Wishing.
That was a hit single, wasn't it?
And it's one of those songs
I didn't like
where...
it.
You know the lyrics, and when you sing along, you actually incorporate some of the music into it. So, do you know what I mean? So you go like, "If I had a photograph," and you just incorporate parts of the music. That's just me, because you just groaned again. Is that just me?
Yeah. That was a groan. That wasn't a surprise. I didn't get that wrong. Now you keep bursting into song, and I find it unsettling.
I just found it. I just found the only way I could explain that kind of. When you actually incorporate, when you sing along, you actually incorporate music into your singing. It would be interesting if anyone listens to this and wants to leave a comment about any songs where they do that, just so I don't feel like a complete twat, because it may just be me who does that. But if anyone does that and incorporates part of the tune into their sing along, I'd like to know, just so I don't feel so on my own.
I was trying to think of something that I might do that to, and nothing springs to mind. I have to admit, but okay, Flock of Seagulls. We'll put that down as well as a shared like.
Fair enough.
Okay, my next one is somebody I don't think I've met anybody ever who has been happy and comfortable to confirm their admiration for Athenian keyboard maestro Evangelos Odysseus Papathanasiou.
Vangelis. I like Vangelis.
Indeed,
I do.
Well, there you go. I found one. I don't think I've ever come across anybody else, but. I think again, he's one of those. He's sold billions of records.
Yeah.
And he's done. I think one of the things that counts against musicians, composers, is that they've predominantly been in film scores. And I think if you find a lot of fantastic composers who have got a lot of their success from film scores,
I was just thinking of Blade Runner, and then I realised Chariots of Fire, which is probably one of the most well-known pieces of music ever, really, isn't it? I mean, the amount of times you're running for the bus, and all of a sudden you realise, oh fuck me, I'm humming the Chariots of Fire theme in my head. Why am I running in slow motion? What's going on?
I never run for a bus. I've got people to carry me here and there and everywhere.
You just call for the chauffeur.
That's right. Yeah.
Parker.
But I'm not Lady Penelope, for fuck's sake. Hang on a minute. So
he's the only chauffeur I know. I don't know. I'm not in. I don't live in your world. I don't know chauffeurs' names. It could be fucking
Take me to Thunderbird.
The only chauffeur I know is from a fucking puppet series from the 60s.
Oh, what different lives we lead. Anyway, Vangelis. He died in 2022, but massive catalogue. I can't profess to have all of his records by a long way. But he had this period, Heaven and Hell, China, Mask. They were great records. China's a great record, yes, 1979. But the thing about Vangelis was, his contemporaries are bands like Cluster and Kraftwerk, Harmonia, Throbbing Gristle, Brian Eno. All of them were doing different things. Some of them were very experimental. Some of them were developing krautrock or even pop in different slanted ways. But Vangelis was out there doing kind of like these big orchestral pieces, all with synthesizers and electronics and stuff. And he did it brilliantly.
Was it Tomita?
Tomita, yeah.
He was he similar or? Kind of.
Was he what, sorry?
Was he similar? Would you say he was similar, kind of?
I'll be honest, I haven't listened to much into Tomita, but I think he was doing more of the classical type of stuff. I haven't listened to a lot of his stuff, I've got to be
Sorry,
honest.
I didn't mean to butt in, but...
That's all right. We do that.
We do that, we do that. We do.
But I like Vangelis. As I say, he's died now. Sold about 8 million records. Lots and loads of film soundtracks, but good stuff.
Did he work with Demis Roussos at some point? Or am I talking out my arse?
I think you're just saying big Greek blokes. They must have worked together.
Yeah.
I don't think he worked with Adnan Khashoggi either.
That's a bit obscure, even for you. So you know too, but I don't think he worked with Zeus either.
Nana Muscuri.
Yeah. Oh God, how many bloody I did pick up a load of Vangelis albums from a charity shop a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've got a nice little stash here of Vangelis stuff. Yeah, and I picked up a load of Tangerine Dream the other day as well.
Oh, there's another one. Yeah. Again, they're very much contemporary, but they're off into very experimental stuff.
So I mean, with Vangelis and Ludovico Einaudi, who I know I've just said his name wrong. So
no, you're close, very close.
You kind of the I mean, would you say they were the kind of they represented like classical music and synth music for people who didn't really get into classical music or synth music? It was just, if you wanted to dip a toe in, you just have, you listen to Vangelis, or is it that kind of thing?
I don't think so. No, Ludovico Einaudi, whilst he uses some subtle electronics in bits and pieces, he's a pianist,
Right.
and he has conventional orchestration in most of his records, in his concerts and so on. Bits of ethnic percussion, little bits of electronics, but he's a pianist.
But
so there's not much.
But is he aiming at that market though? I think that's what I'm kind of getting at.
I'm not sure if that's conscious. No, I don't know.
No, fair play. Fair enough. I just
Vangelis,
thought I'd ask for just to sound like I knew what I was fucking talking about for once. Obviously, I'm talking absolute bollocks. So ignore me and.
Good to stab in the dark there, but I think Einaudi and Vangelis extremely different. I think Vangelis, he got quite a lot of stick back in the 70s, because when he started to make kind of semi-orchestral pieces with electronics and synthesizers, he was kind of criticised because he should be using real musicians. He should be using violinists and cellists and so on, and making music with these synthetic sounds, these machines.
There's always been a lot of
people
that.
Out of business.
There's always been a lot of that with synthesizers, though, isn't there? Or they're not.
There was in the early days.
They're not proper instruments. It's just it's not real. You're not making real music. I suppose there's still a lot of that now. I mean, with people who are using guitars get the hump with people who are using Cubase or whatever I don't know. You know all that kind of thing, but I just know Cubase because you've said it a couple of times. I assume that's what you use. Yeah, my mate uses Cubase. What's that? Oh, it's always at the time.
Well, I haven't used Cubase for decades, but
you fucking wouldn't, would you? Just to make me look even more stupid.
That started out with Cubase, so it's Logic Pro now. But anyway,
right.
I think certainly the musical purists, again, is a snobbery, but I think more than that, I think there is a genuine fear. Like AI today, there's a fear that lots and lots of jobs will vanish under the cloak of AI. I think similarly so with musicians. If you have learned to play a viola and you come to great lengths to play it well, and somebody comes along, plonks a keyboard in front of you and plays to sound almost exactly like you, then you're going to feel a little bit at risk, I would guess. It's the same kind of thing, I think. The machines are taking over.
Yeah, fair play. Right, so what was that? That was number...
That was 5, was it?
Yeah, so 6. My 6 is The Beatles.
Oh, okay.
So I have to confess, a couple of years ago, I walked into a charity shop again, and I picked up a copy of Sgt. Pepper's, just because it was there, and I took it home and I thought, and I played it, and I think that was the first time I'd ever played a whole Beatles album. I just never, they were so omnipresent. They've been so omnipresent, or the singles have through my life, that I couldn't be fucking bothered. I seem to know all of these songs, and it's like I thought, and everyone's going, "Oh, the Beatles albums were so good," and I used to think, "Oh, Octopus's Garden, shut up," that was my. So anyway, I played. I thought it's actually really good. I mean, listening to it as it was meant to be listened to in order, as a set of tracks. So and then I watched the Beatles documentary that Peter Jackson put together. 6 hours. I watched. Wow, that was mind blowing. Absolutely mind blowing. Watching them write songs that even I knew, and I'd never listened to Let It Be at that time, and now I've kind of listened to. I must admit, I find the older stuff a bit tedious. I've recognised that it is marvellous music, and it was way ahead of its time, and it was all written by them. But I don't really need to hear Help again or Love Me Bloody Do. But that later stuff, when I actually sat and took the time to listen to those records in full, and and appreciate what they did, what, 50 years ago, 60 years ago even.
More, yeah.
You know, and the sounds they were getting, and watching Paul McCartney just construct a bloody song from nothing in minutes that turns out to be, you know, Get Back, which you know, which has been another one which has been like omnipresent throughout my life. You know, I mean, I don't mean that it's playing all the time, but when you hear it, you realise you've heard it that many bloody times. You know the words to it, you know. Yeah. And you recognise it, and I just you know, and I wouldn't profess to be a massive fan of the Beatles, but I appreciate them, and I suppose you know, I always made it clear that I don't like the bloody Beatles. I was more of a Rolling Stones person, but I do. I genuinely like the Beatles now. The older stuff. I think it's really, really good. I think it's, you know, there are some absolutely classic. I still think Octopus's Garden's a bit shit. I never really got Ringo's nursery rhyme songs. I think I'm not a big fan of novelty songs, and I would class those as novelty songs completely. I just find them a bit, I don't know, unnecessary. Yeah, you know, there are certain ones that, you know, I always had a bit of love for Convoy by C.W. McCall in the 70s, which was a total.
Obviously, that was one I heard quite a lot when I was growing
exactly. That's what reminds me when you're talking about your trucker dad. You know, but I mean, like, you know, I don't ever need to hear "Shut Up Your Face" again for as long as I live. You know, or the fucking Birdie song. You know, and I appreciate, again, you know, going back to not hating anything. I appreciate that some people like it. You know, they've obviously got issues. But they, you know, I can't honestly imagine anyone saying, I really, really love the Birdie song. You know, no. I mean, when you're like 10 pints in at the Christmas disco and someone says, let's do the Birdie song, you go, yeah, fucking hell, all right then. You know, yeah, fair enough. But any other time, it's like, yeah, I don't think so. I'm going to stab you in the eye with this bloody fork if you try and get me out there.
Staple you to the desk.
Exactly. Yes. So the Beatles. That was my number 6.
That's interesting. You know, there's no denying that their craftsmanship, and you know, the term genius gets bandied around far too often, but you could argue that McCartney and Lennon, the way they went about crafting so many massive hits, they're possibly geniuses.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, totally.
I think I've got one Beatles record, and if they come on the radio, I'm okay with it. But I don't think I'd go out and buy anything.
No, I don't think I've got any records anymore. I think I sold that bloody Sgt. Pepper's because I thought I played it once. I thought it's really good. It's okay. I'm never going to play it again. So I end up flogging it on eBay, I think.
I got Love, I think, which is remixes and stuff that they've done, which is quite good. I think me and some mates sat in the studio one night and we were very fully intoxicated, and playing that loud seemed very good at the time, but it's not one that I go back to a great deal. Okay, Beatles, they didn't come much bigger selling than that one.
No.
At the other end of the spectrum, again, you know, I'm not sure whether this is right or otherwise, because, you know, we keep saying how hard this was to come up with things, but perhaps somebody that knows me would be surprised to know that I like, other than my family, is Ivor Cutler.
Yeah.
Ivor Cutler, who has been the cause of my family questioning my sanity many an occasion. The Mrs. Rachel, my kids, Samantha and Matthew, and even my 9-year-old grandson Jacob. Whenever Ivor Cutler comes out the speakers, everything stops and they just say, for fuck's sake, why do you listen to that? My little 9-year-old grandson, he can be playing cars, playing a video game or whatever, and if Ivor Cutler comes on in the background, he stops, and then I just get, Grandad, why? You know, it just compounds my joy. So anybody that's unfamiliar with Ivor Cutler,
that will probably be everybody apart from me.
Maybe. It certainly wouldn't be unfamiliar to anybody that was listening to John Peel back in the day, because John Peel was a big fan, and it was John Peel that introduced me to Ivor. But Ivor Cutler is this strange little Scottish chap, and his occasional strange acquaintance Phyllis King, and the records they made are not what you would expect to be called records, even in some cases. There's a lot of spoken word stuff, and some of it is only seconds long. So, for example, the first track on the album Velvet Donkey is called If Your Breasts. It's only 9 seconds long, and it's simply Ivor Cutler, his dour Scottish voice, saying, "If your breasts are too large, you will fall over, unless you wear a rucksack." And that's it. Brilliant. And when it is accompanied, it's accompanied by Ivor Cutler playing his wheezing, creaking harmonium, which just adds to the whole aura of this being something very weird indeed. It's very funny in the same way as maybe Vic Reeves, Spike Milligan words, very obscurist, very Dadaist kind of humour, and it's really funny. It's really weird, but I love it. It's great stuff.
I remember hearing it on John Peel, and I thought, what the hell? I didn't. I mean, I kind of, in retrospect, I understand it a lot more now. But at the time, I was just like, oh, stop playing Ivor bloody Cutler, will you? Because he did play him. He played him a lot, didn't he?
He loved him to bits.
He did love him, yeah. And he did play Ivor Cutler a lot. But I never really got it. I don't think I would now, to be honest. I will put a track on to Spotify. Is he on Spotify? Do you know?
I haven't looked.
No,
I haven't looked.
No
but
idea.
I can suggest a couple of good ones. G. Amantai Lucky.
Okay, well I'll do my best to locate him on Spotify. So number 7. So my number 7 is kind of a bit of a cheat, but not. It's the one I've picked. It's a various artists CD, and it's called 70s Dinner Party. And it's interchangeable with many with the like the Jackie series of CDs. It's basically 70s pop music. And this has got weirdly Demis Roussos, Manhattan Transfer, lots and lots of ELO on here.
Okay.
But lots and lots of songs that you would remember if you were my age, at our age, from the charts. The Jackie ones tend to go for things like Bay City Rollers and Donny Osmond. And again, I think that it's basically nostalgia. You know, it is that. I mean, I remember these being on. I mean, for example, the New Seekers, You Won't Find Another Fool Like Me. And at the time, you thought, oh, God, these are so awful. But they're kind of harmless. You know, just kind of generic pop that would have filled the Radio 1, Radio 2 playlists, and would have been, and again, you know, going back to our 70s childhood, childhoods, you know, we had our mum and dad's music, we had, you know, at the risk of repeating myself, we had Radio 1 and 2, or whatever your mum listened to. We had Top of the Pops, and that was it. And yet these records kind of grabbed onto your memory like bloody limpets. And so there are, on here, there are 52, 54 tracks. And I reckon I could sing a fair bit of pretty much all of them.
Oh, please don't.
No, I'm not going to. But, you know, you find yourself putting it on and you transport it back to your 70s, excuse me, your 70s childhood. And it's amazing. And it is, and it's different. I mean, how we consume our music nowadays is so totally different to back then. I mean, we just were bombarded with the same songs over and over and over again. Whereas today, you know, you do a Spotify playlist or whatever, you'll probably hear a song and never hear it again as long as you live.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, when 10cc were number 1, you'd hear it every bloody day, and these things would sink in, and they will never leave you. You know, all these they go along with the whole, you know, they enter your trivia side of your brain, you know, where you remember all those useless facts, like, you know, I can pilot magic, you know, I'm not going to, I could sing that, Clout, Substitute, Bonnie Tyler, Lost in France, you know, you just know these, and every now and again there'll be something a bit obscure, and you'll look at the title and you think, what's that? I don't remember ever hearing that. As soon as you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, and it's there. They are just so deep in your brain, you will never forget them. It's like being branded, isn't it?
I know what you mean.
It's like being branded by Peters and fucking Lee. You know, you just know that as soon as he starts belting out that chorus, you're there. Well, come home, and you feel dirty, but you know, at the same time, it's just like, I just know it. What can I say? I just know all the bloody words to those songs.
The people who do the Now series of music, they've been doing in recent years 4 CD box sets of years. So you get Now 74, Now 75.
Yeah.
I've got all those because I'm with you. You know, you put them on and you think, fuck me, you know, that's just zipped me back to being on the beach with my mum and dad when I was little or whatever.
Totally.
And you do know all the songs because they were always playing. They're ingrained into your head. They're the fabric of your childhood.
And you'll never forget them. You'll never forget them. You know, they were, I mean, and they're not, you know, they're not even, you know, there's no way you could ever say they're rubbish songs. They are pretty...
some of them.
Well, some of them maybe. But they're just so well constructed, you know. Verse, chorus. The choruses you'll never forget. You know, you can hum along to them. I mean, you know, it is... It is. I mean, it is a totally different world musically now, with the way, as I say, the way we consume things. You know, and not necessarily for the better. No, I was going to say my daughters. You know, they have playlists. They rarely listen to a whole LP from start to finish. They pick and choose their. You know, and that is their generation. That's what they do. I'm not going to. You know, I'm not going to criticise them for it. It's how you listen to music. But. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Just going to say, when you talking about like 70s records and everything, something that used to be common back then, which you just can't imagine actually happened, is the Top of the Pops albums, where current hits, they'd make compilation albums of current hits, but other people singing them, and other musicians. They weren't the real ones.
They were session musicians, weren't they?
That's right.
There's a really good documentary knocking around about the guys who made library music, which is kind of along those lines, because you'd have those session musicians going in, and the interesting thing about the Top of the Pops LPs is some of the people who actually recorded. Elton John did a lot of them before he was famous. When he was probably still Reg Dwight, I think he did quite a lot of quite a lot of tracks for it. And they just get these session musicians, session singers in, and you know, knock out an album's worth of top 10 tracks in probably in a day, 2 days.
But when you think about the copyright and the production rights and the publishing rights that you have to wade through with lawyers now, you would never get that happen, because they were contemporary, they were current songs. Well, they were so popular because they were so cheap as well. Because you weren't paying, you were paying songwriting royalties, but you weren't paying, there were other royalties that you didn't have to pay, because you'd pay these guys would come in and do it for like a couple of quid and a Twix, and then they'd bugger off home, and that was it. So they were really cheap and cheerful, easy to put together. And sell it, and there was a market. There was a market for them. The people who couldn't afford to go and buy, 45s, would buy them, and wouldn't really care. And I think the covers were pretty much the same. Always a stylish young lady or a stylish young man in flares and beige. It was usually young ladies in rugby shirts with lots of clivage showing, and décolletage. Yes, lots of clavage. Yes. So where are we up to? I think we were 7. Yeah, you're number 7 now, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah.
My number 7. Okay, my number 7. Probably a little bit predictable, this one, but it is Kylie Minogue, and
not predictable at all. My gob is smacked. My chin is on my chest. I've got to admit. But carry on.
Yeah, look, this is one of those where, I have one Kylie Minogue record and it's an ultimate hits, and it's a double CD. The first CD is all shit, and it's her immediate post-Neighbours career, Jason Donovan, excruciating bollocks.
They are, yeah, but there were some duffers on there.
Yeah, it's awful. It's just, it's the worst of worst pop music for my ears. But when she joined Parlophone in '99, I don't know what happened. I don't know whether she split with Stock Aitken and Walkman or whatever, but she moved from kind of vacuous shite pop to something a bit more interesting, a bit more adult. And the second CD has got quite a lot of tracks on it that I'm very happy to listen to, and they're very much more adult orientated, a bit more sophisticated, a bit cleverer, a bit more serious, I suppose.
And you are a sophisticated man, so that would suit you completely.
I don't know anything about Kylie. I thought as part of research or whatever, I thought I'd have a quick look on Wikipedia, but I couldn't be asked. There are so many words and there's so much to fucking say.
I think Kylie's one of those people you don't really have to explain, do you? I think everybody. She's kind of national treasure in many nations, weirdly as well.
I was going to say she can't be our national treasure.
She's everybody's. I think she bestrides continents like a diminutive Australian Goliath. There's so many oxymorons in that fucking sentence.
A complete mishmash. I think you're bestriding verbal incontinence.
I think I am. I just had a mishmash of words just pour out of my mouth.
You would, yeah. But there are some good records in the latter part of her career. I don't know what she's doing these days. I know she's obviously had some serious challenges with her health and with relationships and all kinds of stuff.
She was in a TV series. I've blurted that out and I can't remember what the bloody thing was called. There was a detective series that was really good, and she was playing in the White House while the murder mystery went on. I know my friend Hannah will be listening to this, shouting the bloody title out at the screen. Go, David, thick twat. Why can't you remember it? But yeah, so that's one of the things she's done. An unnamed TV series. I can't remember what it was called. But yes, carry on. Anyway.
There's not much more to say. I've got one record. I like half of it. I don't know anything about her, but I thought I can mention her. One, because I was struggling to get people on the list, and two, because she's so well known and so the antithesis of what people would expect me to even kind of consider. I was
genuinely surprised. I really was. So yeah, I think
don't get carried away. I'm not a Kylie fan.
That's another tattoo you're gonna have to have. You're gonna have to have a Kylie tattoo now.
I might have one already. I don't know. No.
You can just have a really subtle "good day, mate" or something.
No, I think not. So I think that's it. That's my number 7.
Fair enough. Well, my number 8 is Taylor Swift.
No, I don't think there's much distinction, is there? Taylor Swift and Kylie Minogue, they're the same kind of place.
No, I think you're wrong. So, having two daughters, I have been listening to Taylor for quite some time now. The first record the first record I listened to in any great depth was 1989, which is a fantastic LP. But Folklore is my absolute favourite. She kind of, this came around during the pandemic, which nobody likes to talk about, obviously. But she was at home. Everything had been cancelled, and she wrote the most fantastic kind of, I suppose it's an indie folk LP with Aaron Dessner from the National, and Jack Antonoff, who she's worked with before, I think. Also with Bon Iver, the guy from Bon Iver, he contributed as well, and it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I remember because it was a surprise. I think it was kind of a bit like Radiohead when they released. Which one did they released an LP with like a couple of days' notice, and this was the same kind of thing. She all of a sudden went, "There's an album out," and everyone went, and listened to it.
Did they?
And I thought, well, I'll give it a listen to, because as I've said many a time, I listen to everything, and because the girls are such big fans. I kind of feel obliged to listen, and just so I can, have you listened to the new Taylor album, Dad? Yes, I have. What did you think? And it's just wonderful. It's just such a fantastic LP. I remember saying when I don't know why Hannah's getting lots of mentions tonight. She's going to be proper. Well, she'll be either really chuffed or she'll be going, for fuck's sake, though, stop talking about me. But I remember saying to her, have you heard the new Taylor album? She listened to it, and she said she just blubbed uncontrollably. It's such a sad, kind of mournful, melancholic album, but it's just fantastic. I wrote a list of the songs, and I was listening to it today, and My Tears Ricochet, Mirrorball, August are my favourites, and This Is Me Trying, and it's just fantastic, and I'm a unashamed Taylor. I mean, I have to admit, I listen to everything that she does. I listen to this album the most. The others, I kind of, they're every now and again I'll have a listen. 1989, probably I listen to the most of the others. She does write some clunky lyrics every now and again, but I think she's unfairly criticised. I mean, people just say, it's just pop, and yes, of course it's pop music. It's fucking popular. That's the whole point of pop music. It's rubbish. It's not rubbish. It's fantastically well crafted. She writes most of it. She plays instruments. She sings. She is a really. I mean, and live. I mean, we. Lily went to see her last year at Wembley on the Eras tour. Cost me a fucking fortune, but we won't go into that. And so I ended up watching some guy on TikTok was doing a live stream of it, and I remember I sat watching it, and I think Karen was watching as well. We were texting each other just to see if we could see Lily's blue hair, because Lily has blue hair. So we could see her. So we watched the whole concert, and it was fantastic. She is such a good performer, and she does. I mean, and the charity work she does is amazing. She is worth a lot of money, which I find anybody worth that much. I find it uncomfortable for anybody to have that amount of money. But that's by the by. But she does a lot of work for charity. She's just a fantastic, a fantastic performer and a great artist, and I really like her. And if you don't, I don't fucking care. Not you in particular.
I'm not sure if anybody else to
distinguish
distinguish her from Kylie, who you could say many of those things about as
absolutely,
well.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against Taylor Swift, and I don't deride or denigrate anybody that does like her. If I'm honest, she doesn't interest me. I've heard bits and pieces. It doesn't interest me.
I'd rather someone say I'm not interested than just go, she's shit. I think that's offensive. And what I will say as well is she lost control of her back catalogue. And
I think it's her back passage.
Quite possibly. The amount of dancing she does and run around on stage, she probably did at some point. But she lost control of her back catalogue. And so rather than... She tried to fight it, the guy was being a twat. So she just re-recorded the whole fucking lot and released it herself, which is just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Just the best fuck you ever. So yeah. Go Taylor. I'm a Swiftie.
Okay.
Your turn.
Okay, my turn. Okay, my next one is another much derided titan of keyboard wizardry and flamboyance. It's a man that sold
not
85.
Rick fucking Wakeman.
No, it's not Rick fucking Wakeman or any other middle name. No, it's not. But this man sold 85 million albums. He has been in the Guinness Book of Record for concerts 3 times.
I know.
Biggest concerts, 3.5 million people turned up to see him in Moscow. 2.5 million for his Paris La Défense show in 1990. You know who it is?
It's Jean-Michel Jarre.
It is.
Hey.
It is Jean-Michel Jarre. He's won so many awards and honours from UNESCO, Roland Instruments, the city of Gdansk, the French government, stacks of them. And yet he's still seen as naff populist, I think.
I think you're right. I think that's totally unfair.
It is unfair. He is a hugely talented chap, and he's done things that nobody else had done before, and nobody else has done since. When you think about those massive city laser shows which stopped the whole of Houston, there were 1.5 million people in Houston, another million and so on for his first show in Paris, where people have turned up, the city stopped, massive shows. Nobody's done that since.
Yeah.
Not even Rammstein have done that yet, but they would probably come with tanks. I'm not sure.
Quite possibly.
But again, it's one of those artists where there's a lot of nostalgia at play here, because whilst I've got him on my list, and whilst I think he's muchly underrated, I've only got 3 of his records: Oxygene, Equinox, and Les Chants Magnétiques, and they were for me very much associated with the summers of the period of 76 to 81.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but especially
Oxygen was a huge hit, wasn't it? That was all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean Oxygen. Obviously, that's all over the place. But I mean the song.
Not enough of it.
Yeah.
But Les Chants Magnétiques, or Magnetic Fields, especially for me, I don't know how it became kind of an inextricable part of the soundtrack of my summers back then, but it does. And even now, when the sun comes out, then there's a good chance at some point along the line, some Jean-Michel Jarre will go onto the turntable. But I don't know anything much about his music beforehand, and despite the fact that he's done dozens and dozens of records afterwards, I haven't really felt the compulsion to go out and dig it up.
I know what you mean.
For me, it was of that time.
Yeah.
But he's on the list because I think most people would be surprised to know that, that's an artist that I would say I'm appreciative of. I acknowledge his talent. I like the music that I've got of his, and I think he is grossly underrated.
Yeah, totally. I'd agree. I think I've probably got the same 3 records as you. I think I've got a best of. I've got a best of as well.
Okay.
Because I think I've got about 3 copies of that, because every time I see it at charity shop I think, have I got that? I can't remember, so I buy the fucking thing anyway, because that's how I roll. I totally agree. I like Jean-Michel Jarre. He is, but yeah, I know what you mean. He's very much a I think it's the same with the other 2 we talked about, Ludovico and whoever else it was, Vangelis possibly. They are, they're seen as kind of the populist parts of a certain genre. I think that's what I was trying to get to earlier, and made a complete tits of it. I know what you mean. There is a bit of a. I think I remember I kind of read Electronic Sound magazine, and someone was saying there, not Jean-Michel fucking Jarre again, because he is. I don't even know if he's that influential. He's just really popular at the electronic music thing, isn't he? And
he is. I mean, I'd say he must be influential. When you see the honours and awards he's got, he's been awarded all kinds of honorific titles and so on, which are some are nothing to do with music. Like UNESCO, like the Stephen Hawking Medal of Honour or something. He's got as well. All kinds of things he's done, I think, which are pushing the boundaries of technology and performance, and maybe a whole raft of other things as well. You don't get a UNESCO recognition for putting out a million-selling record or whatever. But I think you're right. I mean, that's that snobbery again, because you can see bands like the Clash, for example, when they were playing White Riot in little dives, they were punks could like them, but when they're playing Rock the Casbah in stadiums, then not so much.
Bloody sellouts.
Because you're sold out.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's easy to. I mean, I'm sure we were guilty of that at times as well. I don't think I ever. I think probably a couple of times I was really disappointed when someone signed to a major label. But more often than not, I just think whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It's a really difficult. It's really difficult, isn't it? I mean, because it's all right being an artist, but do you want to be a poor artist? Or do you want to like make a living out of it and get your message across? And sometimes
artists evolve. Evolve. You know, if you're Joe Strummer, you don't want to write White Riot again every fucking year for the people in your hardcore fans. You develop your art and you develop your vision, and you can't be held back by your limitations. I think the Police. I think Sting once said that they knowingly just kind of did a lot of the stuff that was the same because they knew that's what people wanted, and they obviously all three of them were incredible musicians on their own.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they just stuck to that formula because hey, if it's working, you know, let's keep doing that.
Why not? I mean, the Police were never going to write White Riot, were they? So you know, but they weren't. I mean, they weren't a particularly. Political band, I don't think.
No, not at all. Although some of them,
it was Invisible Sun.
Was
Invisible Sun was that? That was something about something political, wasn't it? Oh, here I go again. I've just fucking blurted something out, and I've no research. I've no idea what I'm talking about. Ignore that.
You're the man of half facts.
Yeah. Let's just go on. Let's just go on to number 9 because we've been going. This is going to be like a 3-week fucking podcast.
It could be. You know, bloody editing is going to be a pain. Go on.
Yeah. So my number 9 is another contemporary pop star. It's Billie Eilish.
Right.
And I really like Billie Eilish. I'd never heard of her, and then Lily, my eldest, a few years ago, said, Dad, Billie Eilish is playing in London. I need to go and see her. And luckily, because I know that once the first 2 days are sold out, the third will probably pop up. I used my knowledge to secure us a couple of tickets to see her at Shepherd's Bush Empire. This was so she'd released her first EP, and Lily's kind of always had a finger on the pulse, you know, and Annie to a degree as well. You know, they're very good at spotting people who are very good. They've got good taste in music. I've no idea where that comes from. Not fucking me. So off we trotted to see Billie Eilish, and oh my goodness, it was amazing! It was amazing. It was just before I mean, do I need to say who Billie Eilish is? I mean, I'm sure everybody knows by now. She's probably the biggest pop star in the world. See, I know her name is Billie Eilish Pirate Baird O'Connell, and I know that without even having to look at notes because Lily and Annie are such big fans that I gathered all this information. She made, in fact, she probably still makes her music in her bedroom with her brother Phineas.
Really?
He does all the. He uses. I know her first big LP. Which is the one I'm referring to, which is When We Go to Sleep, Where Do We Go, was recorded in their bedroom, and it's amazing. It's such an accomplished LP. I absolutely love it. It's just about the whole album is about modern youth, drug addiction, heartbreak, suicide, mental health. You know, everything about being a kid or a teenager in this modern age is included in there, and it's just brilliant. It's got everything from like hip hop to industrial. It's got bass that rattles your innards. It's truly fantastic, and the live show was just amazing. I was blown away. I was speechless when we got out there. Lily was so excited.
That would have been nice.
Fuck off. Would have made for a very good podcast, though, would it? But yeah, so yeah, and I mean, and I think she's suffered. There's this whole. I get really annoyed with the way female artists are treated. I always have for a long while, but particularly now with social media, I think everyone from Billie Eilish to Olivia Rodrigo, who I professed my love for last week, to the last.
Has she been in touch?
Not yet. No, I'm still waiting.
Shame.
To the last dinner party. To Lola Young, all these young artists coming out, and because they're girls, Wet Leg as well, especially. It's like they're really good. Yeah, they must be an industry plant. Oh yeah, they've got to be an industry plant. Just because they're fucking girls and they're really good at what they do, they can't possibly, have any talent. They can't possibly have got where they are without a leg up from a bloke somewhere.
A wet leg.
A wet leg up, yes, absolutely.
We should do a podcast on top females, perhaps.
That was on my list of things to suggest to you. But I mean, social media is a fucking sewer, as we all know, and it does boil my piss when these fucking incel dickheads just have pop after pop at these really, really talented female artists. I hate it. They wouldn't do it. They don't do it to male artists. Not on that scale anyway. And it's shit. It sucks. And if I catch anyone doing it, I'll fucking twat you. So there.
Imagine you roaming around social media now with some kind of metaphorical baseball bat.
I do. I've got a fake profile, and I get on there and I call people out if they're being twats. Not all the time. It's not like I just do it every now and again because if I'm in a bad mood, I'll just get on there and call someone a wanker, and and argue with them about something.
Oh, I can't do it. Somebody I used to work with used to make make time out in the day to just go and have fights with idiots on social. I can't do it. That's why I don't do any social media. It's all fucking rubbish.
Yeah. But anyway, so blokes, support your female artists because they are fucking brilliant and they're probably more talented than you'll ever be. So there.
Gosh, what a little tirade.
Grrr.
Grrr. Riot girl.
Wankers, honestly.
What were you up to? Is this your number 9, was it?
That was my number 9, so you're number 9 and then we'll...
My number 9.
Yeah.
My number 9, pretty little songs, as Bob Vylan might say. Not punk, not current, not on trend, but pretty. Simon and Garfunkel.
Yes.
Yay! So there's lots of pretty in American duo Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel's music. 120 million album sales to attest their popularity.
Yes.
But cash doesn't mean cool. And as we've said time and again throughout this podcast, being hugely popular doesn't mean to say that people are going to be appreciative of the fact that you like them.
Yeah.
So... yeah, loads and loads of classics. You got Paul Simon, who wrote most of the stuff, almost all the stuff, playing acoustic guitar as well. Art Garfunkel doing sublime harmonies, and everybody will know who Simon and Garfunkel are. Yep. I'm sure.
Totally.
Sound of Silence, Mrs. Robinson, Homeward Bound, 59th Street Bridge Song, masses and masses and masses of catalogue stacked full of wonderful kind of pop folk music. But I think they are again one of those acts, one of those combos where they're seen by many, certainly today, as a twee throwback to some lightweight hippy dippy past that had loads of naive idealists floating around talking about peace, love and harmony without really having a clue about the world. Easy listening folk pop, but it's so much more than that. You got all human life wrapped up in their lyrics. Good, bad, ugly, war, love, loneliness, despair, everything in there. And it's timeless. I think for me it's timeless, and I do have quite a lot of Simon and Garfunkel albums. I'll admit to that. Not every track is a classic, but which band can play and perform and write for years and years and years and not come up with a couple of duff ones?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But not the coolest music, but it's great. And for anybody listening who's heard the name, heard them spoken of, but haven't really looked into their works, then they're in for a revelatory treat should they choose to do so.
Yeah, brilliant. I do love Simon and Garfunkel. I think they're fabulous. I really do. Excellent. Okay, so final one. Thank God. What a fucking trudge this has been. Well, it's not actually. It's actually been really fun, and I'm surprised at how much we've had to say about each, about each artist or each genre. I'm totally surprised. So my last one is Pink Floyd. Wish You Were Here.
Oh goodness me! What?
I don't like Pink Floyd very much. It's just, I don't know whether there's a bit of a throwback to the punk days where the I Hate Pink Floyd T-shirt, etc.
Yeah.
And all the hippies and everything. And I, and I've listened to a lot of Pink Floyd, and I'm not over. I think it's all right, but there's a lot of dross on there. There's a lot of wanking about and not really getting anywhere. And I think I mean the Dark Side of the Moon is okay. Well, yeah, absolutely. Dark Side of the Moon is okay.
Dark Side of the Moon is okay. Were you saying?
It's not. It's not really my cup of tea. I don't. But Wish You Were Here is fucking genius. I love Wish You Were Here. I think it's one of the greatest albums ever made.
Wow.
I just think from start to finish, it's just absolutely superb. I think it's because I don't know whether it's because it shows their human side, because it's all about, it's mainly about Syd Barrett, isn't it? And the loss of their friend, because Syd Barrett obviously left the band because he'd just taken so much acid, he fried his brain, really, and then lived as a recluse in Cambridge until his death.
And they hailed from Cambridge, I think.
He did, yeah. They do. Like local heroes, but they're, and it's just a brilliant concept album from start to finish. I mean, it's got guitar solos that aren't anywhere near as wanky as some of the ones on other records of theirs. And like I say, it's just got a real heart to it, because it's sad, it's melancholy. They're mourning the loss of their friend, even though he's not dead. He may as well have been, because he kind of disappeared from life. Although there is a story that he turned up in the studio one day as I recorded, and no one recognised him.
Yes, I heard that.
Yeah, he'd shaved his head and was kind of dressed in an old coat and hat. But yeah, it's just fabulous. It's just so, like I say, it's a melancholy. It's a really sad album. It's just, and it shows them, their heart, because they come across as a right bunch of twats, don't they? I mean, self-important, up their own arse dickheads.
I've got to say, we're diverging here. We've come very close to agreement on many things. I would totally agree with you that Wish You Were Here is a stunningly good album, but I'm surprised at your kind of negativity about them as a band, because for me, and I've got 15 or 16 of their albums, I think they're magical. I think they are in a league of their own. I think their experimentalism, their being at the forefront of music, and the beautiful soundscapes that they crafted, not only on that, but the Dark Side of the Moon is incredible. The Wall, Animals, Am Heart Mother, these are great albums.
See, I'd rather listen to the best of CDs. Echoes, was it? The best? There was a best of?
Yeah.
I'd rather listen to that, because I can listen to their best tracks, but I find a lot of their stuff just a bit tedious. I've got to be honest.
They're not known for their brevity.
Doesn't float my boat at all. I've got some Pink Floyd albums. I've got about 3 copies of Wish You Were Here for some reason.
Again, picking them up at charity shops.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, well, that was my number 10 anyway.
Yeah, well, that's a surprise. I've got to say that's a quite a significant surprise, to be honest.
Yeah.
But okay, wrapping up then for this this week's or this session. Similar one to Ludovico Einaudi in as much as I've got for number 10 Ennio Morricone.
Okay.
And again, you know, there you go. People know the Sergio Leone soundtracks, the spaghetti western soundtracks. Yeah. But I think, again, he suffers from two things, and two things that we've mentioned already. Firstly, that he's not a serious classical composer because he does most of his stuff for films, and that denies him that kind of accolade. And secondly, because he's extraordinarily popular, and he's sold millions and millions of records, so he falls into that kind of not really serious classical because he's films, not serious classical because he's pop, and yet the mainstream and pop people say, oh, it's fucking classical music, that's got to be shit. So I think he falls into that same kind of zone. Now I think Ennio Morricone is one of those people that would possibly deserve the accolade, the moniker of genius, because his the breadth and the sublime work that he's created is just not matched by anybody else. And okay, he's done a lot of films. He's actually soundtracked 400 films and documentaries. Mostly known for his huge awards and so on for Sergio Leone's spaghetti western trilogy. But he's done loads of westerns. He's done Dario Argenti films, horror films, masses of stuff, and sold tens of millions of records. A few years ago I flew to Verona to see him perform in the Roman amphitheatre with a 140-piece orchestra and chorus, and it was indescribable just how fantastic that was. Possibly the finest live performance by anybody I've ever seen. Absolutely amazing. A few years before that I went to see the Spaghetti Western Orchestra perform in Nottingham. I took my kids, and I don't know if you ever encountered them. I don't know if they're still going, but they do all Morricone's Spaghetti Western sountracks, but they do it all using nothing much more than fruit and vegetables and bits of junk, which is brilliant. My kids loved it.
I didn't see that coming. Bloody hell.
So that's my number 10. It's a bit like Ludovico Einaudi, but absolutely stunning.
Excellent. Well, there you go. We are done. That's our 10 things you might not think we like, but we do. I think we've covered the gamut there, from 70s pop.
Got everything, haven't we? Yeah.
I think we have, yeah. Bloody hell. I'm glad I'm not the fuck who's got to edit this one down. I'll tell you that for nothing.
Yeah, so I'm glad we won't be doing one next week because you're off on holiday, so
I
it gives
am
me
off
a bit
on
more
holiday,
time.
yes. So the next one, dear listener, will be in a couple of weeks, I should think. We'll work something out, or maybe 2.5 weeks, but we'll do something, and it'll give us time to think of some more categories. But yeah, female singers would be a good one.
That would be a good one because
weirdly, I've already started a list. So,
but what we've been talking.
No, the other day.
I
was thinking of things.
Fucking hell, man.
I know. I'm way ahead of you. So that's the holiday. I should just say that after we mentioned Stone Circle Sampler last week, Luke, who is Stone Circle, got in touch and really and said thank you. Really enjoyed the podcast. So that was great. He's posted it up on his Insta as well, which is really cool. So cool. So our first kind of endorsement by someone who we've praised on the show. So onwards and upwards, etc. So brilliant. So a reminder, we'll update the Facebook. We'll update all social media. We'll compile a playlist that I will put out when this is edited and up. If anyone wants to comment, please do so. You don't have to say nice things. You could say, I think you're both wankers. Fuck off. Don't
we
ever
tell
do
each
a
other that all
again.
the time.
If you've got any questions you want answering, if you have we're still going to work on Richard's suggestion for new punk. We just got a bit mixed up in I think we wanted to narrow it down a bit more, didn't we? So contemporary punk, because it's really when you've got such a great big, I mean, punk rock, you've got 50 years with you can't get that into 10 bands or records. So we're going to break that down into chunks and do a punk one soon. We'll do the girls, female singers. Anything else that we've kind of thought
There's
about?
lots of things we've kicked around.
Sad songs. That was another one I wanted to do.
Sad songs.
Sad songs. The saddest songs. Not necessarily, my girlfriend died and, she got run over by... But just things that, nice melancholy songs that make you sad but happy.
Okay.
That's sad as shit, but you know what I mean.
Well, we're together at the weekend, so we can have a chat. And
we are, yes. Yeah. So if anyone wants to come and visit us, we'll be in Spoons in St Ives. Oh no, actually, this will come out after we've done it, so you can't.
It will.
So you can't. Yeah. So they can't. So yeah, but that's where we have been. So if you want to visit Spoons in St Ives just to see where we hang out, we'll leave some clues around.
We'll get a blue plaque on the wall of Spoons.
Yeah, David Jake met up with Neil, because Jake hasn't seen him for 40 years. Is it 40 years since you've seen Neil?
It's going to be that. It's going to be something like that, yeah. But the weird thing is, I was down the coast last weekend and I bumped into somebody else that I hadn't seen for 40 years. An old drag racing mate of mine. I hadn't seen him for 40 years. Incredible.
A drag race? I didn't know you did. You didn't do drag racing, did you?
No. It's the only sport that I've come close to enjoying. And one of my old mates from the Red Lion in March. Bumped into him and just down at the coast at the same time. Had a chat. But incredible.
Awesome.
All right,
I hate that whenever I bump into somebody I haven't seen in years, I'm bored within 2 minutes and I'm trying to fucking get away. I'm trying to catch up. Oh, fucking hell. I don't want to talk to you. But that's not. But if there's anyone listening to us who hasn't seen me for 40 years, and wants to say hello, I will be nice to you. Yeah. I promise.
All right, mate. We've got 2 minutes, so I'll close it down.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll get it edited over the course of you being away. But I'll see you on Saturday morning then.
Yes. Okie doke. See you later, mate.
All right, mate. Take care.
Cheers.
See you soon.
Bye.